Happy Hanukkah and welcome back to Deciphering Our World, where my brother and I have created a podcast to discuss mental health issues, behavioral health issues, spiritual and theological health issues, academic, social, recreational issues. My brother and I have a lot of opinions at 70 years old, and we like to come and decipher them with you. And today is Hanukkah. And I have to say to my baby brother, Dr. Jeffrey Seif, I woke up and heard the news about what happened in Australia. And I don't know, Seifi, this stuff is hard to hear, even though on an academic level, we're safe. It left me on this Hanukkah really questioning God, questioning why. And I wondered if you, because you're such a believer, why the Jews have are continuing to leave everybody alone and try to make the world a better place. And these things continue to happen. Our mother escaped Nazi Germany. The nuns taught her the English language. She assimilated, and her family, the Abrahams here in America, they were good to America. America was good to them. How do you not question God on this Hanukkah we bring light in tonight? And how, I don't know, Gaza 2 years ago, Hanukkah, just savagery. And I don't get it. And I just thought, I'm glad I'm meeting with my baby brother, Dr. Jeffrey Seif, who has studied the Torah, the Old New Intertestament. How do you answer to me, your sister, and people that just how can you pray to this God that you think is screwing you over? Hi, by the way, and I'm sorry I jumped right in with that, but
Well, good to see you too, and hello everyone. And it is a tough question, but that's fine. There's evil in the world, and you and I certainly process it because we're of Jewish culture. But listen, you could just as easily say there was 50,000 Nigerian Christians killed by Boko Haram and what have you in recent years.
yes.
400,000 people in Sudan. In terms of wickedness on planet Earth, it's ubiquitous. And when I open up the book of Genesis, you look at Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, something went wrong. And right after they get kicked out of the garden, Cain kills Abel. In terms of, bad things happening, I mean, I can look at early Genesis and the Torah and put yellow crime scene tape all over it. I mean, it's just been around. And for me, it doesn't become a theological question. It's more of a social one. It's a political one. But I just understand there's wickedness in this world.
So then where what what do you think about when you pray to a God? Do you think of an all-loving God and non-loving humans?
Listen, it's a wicked world. There's badness on planet Earth, and so I mean I understand that to be the case. The fact that it exists to
I
me.
thought we're born in the image of God. Isn't that our Jewish
Yeah,
belief?
well, it says in Genesis 1:26, Vayomer Elohim na'aseh adam b'tzalmenu kidmutenu. God said, "Let us make man in our image and our likeness." It's true that we are, per the literature, born in the image of God, but we defile that image. Sin makes its entrance onto the stage of the human drama. You have property theft, you have deceit, you have assault, you have murder in the first 5 minutes of reading Genesis. I mean, there's a sense in the literature is that humankind is made in a glorious estate, but then what happens? It becomes vitiated, it becomes defiled, and this becomes, the problem. And so we live in a world that's fallen, that's in effect defiled.
So, with all that we have seen and heard and experienced and continue to, how do we keep a belief in God alive in us?
Well, people will answer that differently. Hanukkah celebrates a time when, much like our own, in the sense that Jews were absolutely hated. The story takes place in the 160s before Christ. The Greek Syrians under Antiochus Epiphanes want to obliterate Judaism, Jewish experience. They enter into Jerusalem where a temple was, and the Beit HaMikdash, not a synagogue, but this special like national cathedral. And they take it, they defile it, they turn it into a pagan sanctuary. They forbid Jews to circumcise their children. They're not allowed to keep the Sabbath. They can't keep kosher. Torahs are destroyed. And the Hanukkah story is a revolt when the Jews pushed back and resisted. It was a religious military campaign, actually, speared along by fella Mattathias and his son Judah Maccabee became the torchbearer for the movement, and it was resistance against the Syrians. It was a war to throw off Jewish hatred and reestablish Jewish space. And Hanukkah itself tells the story of the victory. That's why during Hanukkah we say Nes Gadol HaYashem, a great miracle happened there, with God's being with the Hebrews, with the throwing off the yoke of the Syrian Greeks, with the re-establishing of the temple, the religion. It's kind of like a pushback against anti-Semitism, and it seems that problem, to your point, endures door to door from generation to generation.
So how can we push back against it now?
Well, in fact, we we have. I'm glad to see our president, by the way, standing with the Jewish
You
people.
would
Of
have to
course,
bring that in the podcast.
well,
All
because it's
right.
it's a political thing. What do you mean? How can you? You're a therapist. I'm an eccentric theologian. What are we going to accomplish in the world if we're talking about a problem of hatred in the world? The question is, it becomes a political issue. It becomes a social issue. And I'm pleased to see that our current president, of course, he has children that are married into Jewish and converted Jewish.
Yes.
And not only that,
Yes. I agree.
he took the initiative to kind of throw off. He was very supportive in the debacle against Iran
Yes.
with the decimation of Hamas. I mean, he put his thumb on that scale and tipped it. And
Yes.
similarly, he as well has pushed back against the anti-Semitism on college campuses in America.
Yeah, you're right.
Interestingly, it was up there in the Ivy, in the
Right.
Harvards of the world and what have you. And he threatened, listen, if they don't tap that down, we're going to pull back, federal monies and what have you. So he's using his influence in his way to push it back. And you and I will use our influence in our little way. It's a podcast. Will
It
100
is.
people
No,
watch?
and I appreciate that he really is stepping up in that way.
Right.
What are your thoughts about the new mayor in New York? What are your thoughts about people coming into power that don't want Israel to be its own state? And do you believe that that's a form of anti-Semitism in a passive aggressive way
I
when it is
I do believe it's a form of anti-Semitism. They say no, we don't hate Jews, we just hate the Jewish state. That's like
right,
telling a turtle, well, we don't have a problem against you. We just hate your damn shell. Now,
right?
wait a minute. There is an intrinsic relationship between the turtle and the shell that it's
Yeah, the
housed
shell
in.
protects the turtle.
And you
Absolutely.
can't say we just love you, but that shell's got to go. What do I think of this mayor? I'm not pleased with him um, for a variety of reasons, but anti-Semitism exists in the world. That's why I'm glad there are people that use their platforms in the world to stand with the Jews. Whether it's the senator from Pennsylvania, Fetterman, Democrat, who's resolute in standing with the Jews, whether it's my senator here in Texas, Ted Cruz, resolute in standing with the Jews. I mean, I'm very supportive of that. Whether it's our
Sure.
president who goes to the United Nations and casts aspersions on them for their denigration of Israel time and time and time again. Because they
Yes.
hop in bed with these other political parties. So, in any case, we just do what we can.
Well, I never thought about it till you just see. That's why I love talking to my brother, because I never thought about it being a political issue as well. Anti-Semitism in Hanukkah, that and we leave the political issues to the politicians. This t-shirt that I have on, if you can see it, it says
Yeah.
stronger than, well, our sister didn't want me to wear it in public because of a fear right now that her generation of Jews have, that are taking their mezuzahs off their homes, that came out of the post-Hitler, and you have to honor the culture they grew up in. But she won't go out with me if I wear this sweatshirt, because
Yeah.
she says, you don't go out, Lisa, with that in a time like this. But then I'm hearing all people like you saying, no, light the Hanukkah candle with courage and never shy away from your Judaism or hide it. What do you think about all that?
Well, just a few months ago, I was in Holland. I was in the Netherlands, and before I went, they said, "Don't wear a yarmulke." So
Oh my
now
goodness.
in my case, I don't need a yarmulke, for people to know I'm Jewish. Whatever stereotype someone has of a Jew, I'm it.
My brother fits it.
I just fit it, so I don't need a lot
You
of.
and Moses have a lot of resemblance.
But it made me want to wear the yarmulke, to tell you the truth. To be prouder to be a Jew.
Yes,
Barry and I were in Israel a few times right after the excursion um, by Hamas on October the 7th in 2023. People, oh, don't go to Israel. We went there a few times,
I
Barry more than
know.
me.
And you went right to the Gaza, didn't you?
We were to Gaza, we were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Ugh,
remember hearing shells
boy.
exploding, and they said, "Don't worry, those are our shells."
Yeah, right.
Right there at
Boy.
we were
Boy.
right there at the border with the troops, bringing them
Jeez.
supplies and what have you that we had raised money for. I had, in a capacity that I had with the vocation there, helped raise a couple $100,000, and so we were able to get some assets to soldiers and what have you. In any case, so um, I'm just glad to participate in.
Sure, but Saifi, so two questions. Why in 2025, with all we've learned and what history's taught us, why is there still this hatred for the Jews? And the second question I want you to just ponder with me is, so if you're pro-Israel, that doesn't mean you're pro-Jewish,
No, you mean if
right?
you're, no, I do think I do think if someone is against Israel, they don't have a right to exist. That's not a Jewish homeland. That is anti-Semitism.
Even
Um,
though they'll say, but we're
I
okay
don't care
with
what they
Jews
say.
living there.
I don't
Okay.
care what people say. People can live in their own heads. I live in mine, and so it's I don't care what they say. That someone who disavows um, a Jewish presence in the homeland that is anti-Semitism. I mean, if you go back historically. Well, this is Islamic lands. Muhammad wasn't born till 570 AD. Islam as a religion didn't start till 610 AD when he starts having revelations. And 100 years, within 100 years after his death, then the religion is going to sweep into the Middle East and overtake Judea, North Africa, and what have you. Moses is 1400 BC. It's 2,000 years before that. If you look just historically, a Jewish presence in that real estate, there's an inextricable relationship between the people and the land. And to claim that there should be no connection between the two, it just disavows thousands of years of history. Anyone who reads the New Testament reads a story about a Jew named Jesus who lives in Judea, who's speaking to the Jewish people from the Jewish scriptures. This is 2,000 years ago.
I
If you,
know. I
if
know.
you
Then
open
why? Why?
if you open up the Torah, you're going back, over a
Fourth
thousand
that.
years longer. Obviously, there's a people that has a relationship with that real estate, and to obliterate that somehow is just and it's just anti-Semitic. It reflects a hatred of the people. It's not congruent with the historical facts on the ground, indisputable facts, incontrovertible.
Well, it's so confusing because when I went there with you in the 80s, it looked to me like the Israelis and the Arabs lived very peacefully. You
In
were very
Israel, they
friendly.
do.
Yeah,
It's all fantasy. Lisa, there's 2 million Arabs living in Israel who are
yeah.
citizens who
That
enjoy
are,
a better standard of living than regular Arab people in Jordan or in Egypt. That they have housing, they have jobs, they have medical care.
yes.
If you
So
look at the,
where's
it's
the corrosion? Is
it's
it the
it's not
Hamas, the Hezbollah?
it's not coming from them.
Right.
It's not coming from them. Now, when Israel became a nation state, Arab nations mobilized their energies and went to war against the Jews. Rather than they go to war against the Jews, they just had displaced persons they keep in camps and let them go to war against them. It's just, Act
It's
Two,
confusing.
Scene Three. Yes, it's just um,
Yeah, it's confusing because when people say something to me, I know from your answer to them, the Arabs and Israelis get along beautifully living in
Arabs
Israel.
Arabs in Israel are on they work in the army, they're in the courts, they're in the Knesset, they're in the parliament. They own properties, they have
Why
businesses.
doesn't the
You know
press
that.
let people, why does our press not let the world know that?
It depends what press you listen to, Lisa.
Mm.
People um, you know,
What
press
press what press do you recommend for our audience to for fair? I listened to the Times of Israel, the podcast Barry gave me.
yeah. Well,
What about
I think that's a good source for Israel.
for Israel, the Times of Israel?
Yeah.
What about for us here? What are some good news sources? Is News Nation? Um, I don't know.
Well, again,
There's Fox,
when I
CNN.
when I say that, you know, um, people can but alienate, but to use those sources that you just mentioned, maybe rather than one, go with two. They're polar opposites. Go to Fox News, go to CNN. You'll see people tell the story from different perspectives,
Yeah,
and you can
yeah.
decide where you think it lands.
Yeah, I have been doing that. I find it fascinating and I find the controversy interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So why do you think there is still such, you've studied this your whole adult life. Why is there still such hatred for the Jews in 2025? Is it ignorance? Why the revisionist that don't believe there was a Holocaust? 20% of Americans? Come on.
well, I scratch my head. Lisa, when I was a police officer, and I'd see what people do to other people. They loved each other, they took their clothes off, they made babies, and now the one stabs the one, the other shoots the other. For me, I
Yeah,
observed that stuff. I never understood it because I'm so not like that. That
yeah,
it's hard for me to come to terms with it because I live because of my Judeo-Christian values. I'm so tethered to ethics and treating people
yes.
a certain way. To me, it just confuses me when I look at the political situation in America. It has me befuddled when I look at anti-Semitism. Well, look at hatred in the world. I mean, I can speak to it from different lenses. I mean, I can talk to it from a religious perspective. I can speak from an economic perspective, a political perspective. I can tender opinions from various angles. Um, but it's just hard to
Do
get.
you think now I don't think we're the chosen people, but do you think Jews just in our DNA have an ethical wire that not everybody has? That we are a more, I remember the sheriff saying he could count the Jews that have been in his prison on one hand in his 30-year career. From
Listen,
a crim
I remember going into the jail. And a friend of mine, as a police officer, and a friend of mine, a lieutenant, was coming out. He said, Seif, I just booked in a Jew, my first Jew. He says he even had a Star of David and everything. He'd never seen it. By the
Wow.
way, Mark Twain commented on that Mark Twain, when his daughter Susie died, in the turn of the previous century, 1900s, he goes to Austria, to Europe, and he observes in Austria they spoke 8 different languages. They fought, and they fought. The only thing they had in common is they all hated the Jews. And it made him wonder why. So he wrote a series of articles for Harper's Magazine, they were consolidated in a book called Concerning the Jews. And he raises the question, why do people hate the Jews? And he says what you said. He goes, look, is it that Jews are a criminal element, so people are disdainful of them because they're criminal? He says, no. He says you can hardly find a Jew in any jail, so it's not like they're known to be criminals. And he
Right.
says, well, if they're not harming society as criminals, are they leeching off of society? And he goes, no. There are poor Jews, but Jews tend to take care of their own. It's not like Jews are underperforming, and so people are angry at them because they're drawing off of their tax base to sustain themselves because they're too lazy. He goes, no, Jews tend to be an industrious entrepreneurial lot. They contribute to society financially. They're not in the jails. So Mark Twain says, so why is it
Why?
that,
Yeah.
that people hate Jews? What Twain says is the reason why people hate them is because they can't compete with them. And then so he says, what's the basis for good business? If people are jealous of Jews because they can't compete with them, he says, what's the basis of good business? And he says, the basis of good business is trust. In other words, if you need a plumber in your house or you need a mechanic in your car, you want to get someone who's not going to rip you off. And if you
Yeah.
find someone who's decent, who carries himself well, does a good job for a fair market price, you're going to keep going back to that vendor. So people go to Jews for services because they're an ethical lot. The net result is the Jews elevate in life because they're successful. What the net result is other people's becomes jealous. That's the way Twain looked at it.
Wow.
But to your point, is there something
Yeah.
about being Jewish that's just a distinguishing characteristic in the DNA? Now, if you take our family, okay, you take Lisa Seif, okay, she has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. She's a therapist. If you take Jeffrey Seif, he has a master's degree and a doctorate. If you take our sister, she has a college degree. If you look at her children,
Oh
you know,
my.
two of them have master's degrees and one took an MD degree. And
Yes.
and then if you look at the children of them, I mean, there is a sense Jews really place a premium on education and probably more so than other people because we're known as the people of the book. When you go to a synagogue, we take a book out, we march it around, everybody touches it and kisses it. I mean, Jews have always placed a premium on literacy, on education, and that has a way of accelerating someone in life that would prompt other people to be jealous, which is why Jews are well represented in vocations where you take education to get there. If you look at medicine, if you look at law, if you look at psychology, if you look at counseling and therapy, etc., Jews are represented in those ranks more so than other people's percentage wise because we kind of gravitate toward
But
that.
why be jealous? And let me just throw this in. Our father dropped out of high school because of the Depression and went into the army. You know, he was the CEO, they would call it now, but back then there was
Yeah.
no term CEO. He didn't have a college degree. So his generation of Jews got in business or they were tailors and got into retail and we're just like you said, very good business people and very fair and ethical business people.
Yeah,
So you don't have to have a degree necessarily to be a successful human being,
that's
but
true.
I think you're right.
When I sell it, it sounds like I'm overstating it, and I don't mean to. But the point is, we're known to be an industrious lot with our
Yes.
hands, with our heads, whatever the
Yes.
case may be.
And to be fair, I think what you said about fairness, that's something inherent in us. And that's why so many lawyers and judges in Judaism, physicians that want to heal, you, pastors and rabbis that believe that service isn't just service, it's attracting people that can trust you.
Right. And
And in my business too, it's about trust.
Tikkun Olam, we want to heal the world
Yes.
and help people. And then if you look at
Why
science,
jealousy? Yes.
if you look at scientists, the number of Jews that are represented in as Nobel laureates is
Yes,
greatly out
it
of
is.
proportion to the bulk of our population.
So why the jealousy, Saifi? From a I mean, I know since the beginning of time in Genesis there was a lot of violence and competition for on the sword power. Why still, why so much jealousy? Why not share and be one with many like we try to be, us Jews of stranger or strangers in the land?
Listen, if you take the modern state of Israel today, if you look at the gross national product, what's produced in Israel, if you if you add up that number, and if you take all the Arab Muslim countries around about Israel, and you add up the gross national product and take oil out of the equation, the gross national product that's produced in Little Israel, no bigger than the state of New Jersey, is greater than the 20 Arab Muslim countries around about it combined. If you look
Mm.
not just at what's produced, if you look at the marketplace, if you look at the number of museums per capita in Israel, it's greater than any place else in the world. If you look at the number of museums, greater. If you look at the number of hospitals per capita, it's greater. If you look at the number of uh, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral level people in the workforce in Israel, it's greater than elsewhere in the world. It speaks of a commitment to life, to living, l'chaim,
Yes.
and what happens is that creates energy and success, and individuals are more predisposed to be jealous of it as opposed to just learning from it.
Celebrate it like are celebrating it on Hanukkah
Yes.
these next 8 days. You've just helped me feel a lot better about looking at Hanukkah from a place of faith and fairness and love of God. You're going to Israel next July. I would love to join you with some of my friends. Tell us about that trip, and is it open to anybody? Or we could do another podcast where we talk about Israel. But
People certainly can, it's open to everyone and anyone. There's a
yes.
religious bent to the trip. It's going to kind of like lean on Christian and Jewish. People want to go there and walk where Jesus walked. And so I certainly want them to see it. But I don't want them to walk past modern Israel to look at ancient Israel. We visit Tel Aviv and famous Jewish sites and do a bit of both. And the name of the game is to give people an experience more than just a vacation. It can be a pilgrimage, it can be a retreat, it can be a getaway, and just to step back in time and we'll be looking at biblical history as we travel around with an open Bible and more. For those that are interested in the evenings, I will attempt to wax eloquent on biblical themes with an open Bible. People, might want to do that after dinner with me. They might want to
Would you
go
would,
out and
would you go
shop.
to an open 12-step meeting with me in Jerusalem? They're all over Jerusalem, 12-step meetings, all over and Tel Aviv.
I'd love to. In fact,
Yes.
I've gone to 12-step meetings with you a lot, and I've loved it.
If you could take the time, yeah, I would love for us to share one together in Jerusalem. Kevin and I, my surrogate son, shared one together in Greece.
Yeah.
And I love the principles of our program align so much with what you have taught about the principles of our commandments, the Ten Commandments, and just how to make the world a better place. And like you just said, how to bring l'chaim, life, back instead of darkness. And thank you
Well,
for that.
well, that's your expertise. It's my understanding the whole 12-step program evolves out of someone who had an open Bible.
Absolutely.
You
All of
know,
our principles, the principle from each step comes out of biblical
yeah. No, they
terms.
go. It's so salvific. It has a way of
AA didn't create them. AA just acknowledged them
they acknowledged them and
and packaged them to
packaged
live.
them for people that didn't need to go to church to get it.
Yeah, what a
Like,
miracle for those that can quit drinking and drugging. What a miracle.
It's like taking biblical principles to the streets. And that's what
Yes.
Christianity did, by the way. Judaism was like an enclosed private religion, but
Well, it had to be to stay safe. It
Jesus
had,
the Jew took the story global. I mean, if you look at the Newer
yes.
Testament, it's taking, I mean, now the Old Testament is read all over the world, well beyond the pale of Israel because of Jesus the Messiah, a Jewish person they called rabbi as he walked planet Earth. And
Wow.
you know, if Judaism had a rabbi today remotely as powerful as he was, as influential, they'd really be somewhere. But it's all about taking it to the masses.
Yes.
That Jesus became a light to the world, whereas the Torah was just construed as a light for the Jews.
Yeah. The Israelites were just trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
Well, happy Hanukkah to my brother.
To you too, sweetheart.
Thank you for taking the time. What are you all going to do for Hanukkah and then Christmas? Are you staying in your homeland? You going to stay in Texas?
Yes, right after this, when we finish up here, I'll be going to a Hanukkah party with my community. Um, so, and then we'll have on this coming Friday night with my congregation, we secured a new building and what have you. And so we're having our dedication ceremony for the building on the Feast of Dedication,
Oh,
when
cool.
Jews celebrate the dedication of the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, the
Oh,
building
how
back then.
wonder. Oh,
So
cool.
I'm doing
Saifi,
that.
will it be recorded and up
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Facebook?
yeah,
Okay.
it'll be recorded. And then it's a little nebulous about the end of the year, the beginning of next. You know, I'm finishing up at Cambridge University and I'm waiting to hear back from my supervisor. And then I'm planning tentatively right at the turn of the year then to head off to Europe and, you know, just meet with him and, you know, tidy up some of my doctoral work. I want to put a lot of that stuff to bed and get on with it. So.
Awesome. Absolutely awesomeness. We don't stop, do we?
No, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, you know,
Right.
but it is what
Right.
it is.
Yes.
I don't know why it is, but I just know that it is, and there's no point resisting it. I just go with it. I know I'm going to die one day, Lisa. I just don't plan on dying until I
Mm,
die.
I hope not, God. I want to see a lot more of you by then.
Yeah, and
All
likewise.
right. Absolutely. Well, much love to you and to Barry, and happy Hanukkah. And you will help make my lighting of the first candle tonight a real celebration of so many miracles.
Okay, you're the best. I love you bunches.
Love you. Thank you. We're gonna sign off now from Deciphering Our World. Hope you enjoyed a conversation with us. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.